I'm always the one. I'll pick something up and I'll be like, "Oh, I'll just go nice and real slow with the rear view camera on, and I'll just go snail's pace." And I know confident in my abilities to be able to stop before anything bad happens. Thank God I wasn't that operator because that would be my ass on the line.
It happens that fast.
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I'm your host, TowManG, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, friend, and former coworker, the man who's a little under the weather, Mr. PlainGuy.
I am no longer under the weather. I am above the weather, above the clouds, and
You
living
just
my
said
best
you
life.
still had some sniffles, and it's at the tail end.
I still got that runny nose and like that little bit of cough. You know, whenever that cold, like you've beaten the majority of it, but this thing just likes to hang on and not let go for whatever reason it is.
It's
That's
also
what I'm in
called
right
the
now.
end of October in Ontario, and the nights are getting chilly.
Yeah, no, today as a whole was very cold.
The wind was
We
killer
didn't
here.
we didn't have the wind. I know it was snowing about an hour north of us, not to
Mm.
say like accumulating snow,
Mm-hmm.
but one of those where it was just cold enough and it was trying to rain, and so you get like some snowflakes in the air.
I hate this time of year because every time it rains, you're thinking to yourself, if it was only a little colder, we could have white gold coming down right about now. But nope,
Yeah,
stupid global warming hasn't worked yet.
all this precipitation could be money in my pocket, but instead
Yeah,
I'm just soaked and miserable. Yeah, I know
yeah,
that feeling. It's
yeah.
funny you say that. Actually, I was out on a wreck this week,
Hmm.
and we looked at it, and all of a sudden look up and go, it's gonna get wet, and it starts raining.
Hmm.
And so we're doing the offload of this tractor trailer on its side.
Hmm.
And the owner, the owner's father makes a comment, don't worry, the rain will stop when we're done.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we look at the weather forecast, see if this is going to get better or worse, and you see a spot where it says like 6.3 millimeters of rain in an hour that's coming,
Oh,
from like 9 p.m till 10 p.m,
yeah,
and you're like, this is going to suck.
yeah.
And sure enough, we got very lucky in the sense that most of our team was staying dry.
Hmm.
I had 3 guys in the trailer that's on its side,
Yeah.
so they're dry.
Hmm.
I've got a guy in the skid steer winching out these bags of peat moss. He's
Yeah.
staying dry. I
Yeah.
got a loader that's a guy in a wheel loader that's taking the skids once they're loaded back onto the road to the empty 53 footer that's waiting. He's dry.
You're
And
not dry though.
the guy inside the trailer is dry because he's restacking them inside the trailer with a pallet jack. The 3 guys that are sitting getting soaked are myself,
Hmm.
my rotator operator,
Hmm.
and his rigger that's helping him when we're lowering the bags onto the skids,
Mhm.
line the skids, get everything secured, and before it gets picked up by loader. So yeah, the 3 of us were absolutely drenched. Everybody else, for the most part, was pretty dry, pretty muddy.
Yeah.
We ended up burying a couple pieces of equipment. It was one of those where we went into a field when it was dry.
Yeah.
We came out of a field when it was no longer dry.
The Chev got stuck, and the Ford got stuck. Yep, the Chev
The
unstuck when the
JCB
Dodge
got
showed up.
Yep,
Dodge
the
got stuck
JCB
in the
got stuck, then
tractor.
the other JCB got stuck, and then the NRC pulled them both out.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a slug of a night.
Those are the best, though.
You know what? I gotta admit, morale was so high on that recovery.
Yeah.
It was one of those weird ones too. So the company calls us right away, right? We get a call 2:00 in the afternoon.
Hmm.
Hey, we've got a tractor trailer on its side out. It's about an hour from our one location, about 35 minutes from another location.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they hadn't even called anybody yet. The driver was still in the truck
Oh.
because he couldn't figure out how to get out. He wasn't hurt, he wasn't trapped, but he just,
Yeah.
when a tractor trailer is laying on its side, it's
Yeah.
hard to get out.
Yeah, those
And
doors get real heavy.
yeah. Yeah, gravity is not your friend, as
No.
he learned going into this. So anyways, we send a scene coordinator up, talk to, it's a little road that goes to a plant where they load peat moss.
Hmm.
And they said, well, we can't shut down this road for you to do your recovery until 6 o'clock.
Oh,
And we said, okay, no problem. It's a great way to be able to schedule and get stuff ready.
yeah.
Right? For once in our life, it wasn't we're running like crazy
Yeah.
trying to get all of your equipment
Yeah.
ready.
You
You've got a
got
little time
4
to plan.
hours to get everyone in place at least,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice.
Come up with a plan. The hard part is that's hard on the guys though, because they're all just sitting around waiting
Yeah.
to go.
Oh, I
Okay.
don't want to do this because then I'll miss out on that recovery that we got to go do.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You had to, and then guys who didn't get to go or guys who did get to go or whatever they were operating was all predetermined and they have
Yeah.
time for their feelings to get hurt
Yeah.
and whatnot. So, but no, once we got on scene and they started going, they were itching to go.
Hmm.
And so once we came up with a plan, altered it a little bit to accommodate for what we were working with, morale was high.
Hmm.
Right. Morale was very high. I mean, so we're one of the few companies that I know of that uses and anyone that's done heavy recovery. I don't know how. I don't remember how we did jobs without our Sonetic headsets.
Hmm.
Right. So we have Sonetic headsets on scene. And we've got 9 or 10 headsets, 2 separate cases. And my God, when you're working blind and working in different areas, in a case like this where we are winching bags of peat moss out of the trailer to the doors, then grabbing them with the rotator, lifting them up onto the road, onto a skid, then the loader going to load them. The communication that you can have by every one of these players having a headset on
Hmm.
and being able to, right? The guy in the skid steer that's pulling because he's around the corner can't see
Yeah.
with the winch. So you're just radioing them, winch in, winch out. That would have been an extra man on scene that would have been needed to spot in between the two,
Yeah.
right? Another guy that couldn't be doing something else productive,
Hmm.
right? And the communication and the fun, right? Whenever you get those downtimes where communication isn't key at certain times,
Hmm.
it's the boys have a hell of a time. I mean, if any of those recordings if every of those audios got recorded and leaked,
Huh.
I mean, we know why TV shows have been canceled, I guess. Because some of the stuff that comes out on these scenes, like we've got one guy, his poor mother. His poor mother is the talk of every recovery.
Oh,
Every one that this kid is on, his poor mother is just absolutely disrespected in every way possible.
I bet she's
Uh,
a very kind lady.
she's a wonderful lady.
Yeah.
She is a great person. It's just he's the target, right? We all have those targets. I mean, bullying still exists, but it's not bullying. We call it camaraderie. It's a difference. If it was bullying, we have to report it. If it's camaraderie, we call it team building. And
That's
we
one
encourage.
thing that I don't think a lot of people think about. So, like, if you're working with a heavy equipment,
Mm,
you normally get into a flow, a routine, to the
mm,
point where you don't need to talk to the guy next to you because you know how he operates his
mm,
hoe. And
mm,
you know how Buddy over there, Billy Bob in the dozer, pushes dirt to you, and you know how the pile's going to fall, right? And to some certain extent, we get like that with our coworkers. But with the wrecks that especially you guys deal with, it's never a safe, confined working area to begin with. The weather is normally not very cooperative, so that adds to the risk factor, and it's something different every time.
mm,
So having a headset would definitely overcome so many challenges that you would face. Just like you were saying,
mm,
extra manpower. Just
mm,
having you got to have a guy so he can see the signals and then relay it to the guy who's winching in the skid steer. Or
yep,
instead of having your rotator operator or standing in the danger zone so he can see it, you can have someone who's another rotator operator or someone who's competent standing in a safe spot where they can see and he can stand on the far side or use a remote and stay out of
yep,
the fire or danger zone.
yep.
I honestly think headsets, if they're not commonplace, they ought to be because
Yeah. When you're talking like, you and I have done a lot of light duty recoveries over the
mm,
years, right? You're talking 2 operators on scene, maybe a third,
mm,
doing a job. And again, like I said, a lot of times the complexity can be, there can be some complex light duty recoveries, but for the most part, you know, it
I think
becomes
some of the
yeah.
complexity of those light duty recoveries was the lack of communication and not being able to communicate,
Mhm.
right? Like if you're dealing with a car that's 200, 300 feet down the ditch, well, I don't know about you, but I'm a large fella and I don't want to have to keep walking down or up and down this hill to go and tell the driver what to do.
Yep.
Yelling can only do so much, especially over the course of your PTO pump and your truck running. So
Mhm.
you won't be able to hear what they say. So then you break out your cell phone, you put it on speaker, you try to set that on the side of your truck so you
Mhm.
can talk to the guy. Next thing you know, your phone falls off the side of the truck and into the snowbank. Like it's headsets work, and I
Yeah.
think they should be in more workplaces.
Well, no, and you when you start to talk about a scene of 10 people,
Oh, yeah.
right? And trying to communicate, and then even once you get into the, that's just for the offloading process. Then you get
Yeah.
into the uprighting,
Mhm.
where you have at least two trucks coordinating with each other doing a lifting, having a third person being able to stand back,
Mhm.
right? You've got your main coordinator in the middle watching this recovery in a safe spot. You've got your rotators on both sides or your heavy wreckers on both sides, whatever you're using. You can
Mhm.
have somebody on the backside,
Yep.
right? Completely out of sight. You don't see him.
Mhm.
And you could have some, you could put people wherever you want to put
Yeah,
them.
there's
And then
no, "Hey,
still have,
stop, we gotta go around and take a look at the back."
yeah,
You got that guy back there, so
yeah.
everything
And
can
it's
come up
as quick
smoothly.
as, hey, we're going to do this. Okay. All right. Line one in. Okay. You're good. Okay. Follow up with them, catch up to them,
Yeah.
and then everything good on the back. Yeah. Everything's good on the back. Okay. Perfect. And keep going. All that kind of stuff reduces time on scene.
And it also reduces the chances of something going wrong,
Agreed.
especially with a guy on the backside. Maybe that strap has slipped off one of your protectors and you just don't know. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, it rips through the trailer wall.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
you can't see that so well if it's on its side and you're standing on the ditch.
yeah. Like I said, every time we finish up one of these recoveries, and I'm always sitting there thinking, like, man, and I've done them. I've done years of being on scene of recoveries, never in the capacity as much as I am now, but
Mhm.
without these headsets, and you go, man, how did we do that?
Mhm.
Like, we did it,
Yep.
and we did it well. But this takes it to that next level. I think this is what really, creates the efficiency
Yep.
and starts to, brings you to another level. At the same time, and these things aren't cheap.
No.
Um, you can bill for them.
No.
We absolutely build them out on recoveries,
Mhm.
right? It's a tool that is required on the scene for
Mhm.
safety and for efficiency. And
Yep.
for those two reasons there, no company is going to argue the bill. I mean, there's always going to be a company. Let me say that again. There's always going to be a company that's going to argue the bill.
Yep.
But no,
We
it
didn't
was
mean to get into this rant on headsets.
no,
Welcome to
absolutely.
the show.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. If you have an opinion on headsets, where can you find us? You can email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. Comment down below over on the YouTube side, or visit us at www.towinglife.ca, where you will find a contact us, messenger. A lot of people like it through messenger. I've seen a lot of that where we'll get a lot of questions through messenger.
Yep.
It's easy. Everybody's got Facebook nowadays. They don't have to go to a website and click a button.
Yep.
Just got to search the
And you
Towing
can
Life Podcast.
potentially talk to either one of us.
Yeah, absolutely. We do our I think we do a pretty good job on keeping up on our messenger.
Yeah.
We normally seem to be pretty quick. We've got a lot of people that just send us stuff, photos, whatever. Hey, check out my truck, this, that.
Mhm.
We always try and be as interactive as possible
Yep.
with
Someone
what we
sent
can.
us a photo the other day of a bulldog.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
I
know. Well,
commented, we
I
had a
was
nice
aware. I was chatting
conversation
with him.
about it.
I was
And I
I was chatting with him ahead of time, telling him he was stupid. And then I seen that he messaged back showing the picture when he got it, and
Yep.
you guys had a wonderful conversation.
Yep, we did. I was like, I made sure to let him know that it's Towman speaking because PlainGuy wouldn't be this nice about a picture of a bulldog.
Well, we went ahead and fired our entire social media team, A, because we never had one, and
Yeah.
B, because we want to have a personal connection with each and every listener that reaches out to us.
Yes, exactly.
But no, it was a nice, the rollover was a nice way to finish up the last 3 weeks. So my owner has been gone for 3 weeks. So
Mhm.
I've gotten to play a little bit more.
Yep.
And I had 3 burn jobs.
Oh.
I swore I was destined to burn jobs.
Mm.
My
Good old
first one was
Krispy Kremes.
fully engulfed tractor, trailer was fine, full cab, everything from the cab forward, back of the cab forward was crisp.
At least you don't have to worry about causing secondary damage.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. It would have been nicer if I had some of my tools that were out of town on other calls to get it done, but we did get it done. And
Duplicates. Get
then
two
I
of
got
everything.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's getting to that point.
Yeah.
Then I got a this cargo trailer. These poor people. Okay. We get a call for a cargo trailer, 24-foot cargo trailer, tandem axle, on fire,
Hmm.
full of home belongings. And we're like, okay. We get up on scene. Fire has the back door of this thing open. It is loaded, tits to tires,
Hmm.
front to back, every square inch of personal belongings.
Oh,
Like, we're talking, there's beds, there's clothes,
their
there's just
house might as well burnt down because that's what was in that trailer.
yeah. So we start looking around, inspecting the trailer. So it was a tandem axle, a tire blew.
Hmm.
Something on the other side ended up rubbing when everything shifted, whatever. It caught fire up in the wall. Well,
Hmm.
fire was courteous enough to cut a hole in every wall of this trailer
Nice.
and absolutely just unload a tanker truck worth of water into it.
Nice.
And it kept smoldering back up because it's packed so tight. The water's not getting into the spots they need. So we got talking with them. Where the plan was, we're going to load this thing up. We brought in a bin to load up what the fire had pulled out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to bring it back to our yard. Well, this trailer weighed a ton.
Hmm.
We
Probably
got
overloaded.
we got talking with the RO. It was a weird scenario. So, trailer belongs to party A.
Mm-hmm.
Truck belongs to party B.
Oh.
Driver of truck is party C. And party D is the one coordinating all this.
Oh.
Okay, so we have 4 people involved in this.
Hmm. And who owns the contents?
Party A, who owns the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah. So insurance though,
Hmm.
it's party B's truck, which is what you would pull your insurance on.
Yeah.
But party B isn't involved with party A at all because party D coordinated this.
Hmm.
So they don't want to put a claim on party B's truck to
Yeah.
cover the contents of this trailer.
Yeah.
So this trailer with 2 3,500-pound axles, so which means 7,000 pounds, left PEI.
Oh.
They scaled it before it left. It was 10,000 pounds. I mean, the math doesn't math,
No.
but they expected, and party D, the coordinator of this, admitted this to me, that they expected to have a flat tire or maybe a bearing issue on the way.
Okay.
They were going from Prince Edward Island up near Owen Sound.
That's a trek.
That's a hike. So they were expecting tire or bearing issues. They were not expecting it to catch fire.
Yeah.
So
But
when
you
this
were expecting a catastrophic failure going down a 400 series
400
highway.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
That expecting a catastrophic failure of any stretch of the imagination, that means you stick to the back roads. 80 kilometers an
oh
hour,
my
two
God, that would be
lane.
like a 4-day trip on the back roads. So,
Yeah.
anyways, we get this trailer loaded up and back to our, my guess is at this point, this thing's probably weighing closer to 15, 16,000 now with
Mm.
all the water that is soaked into everything in this trailer.
Yeah.
Right. So I gave them right off the hop. I said, here's a price. I will float this thing on my 40 TB to where you're going up near Owen Sound.
Mm.
Because that is the safest way this thing will roll.
Yeah.
Because we come up with this wild idea. We get a trailer guy in, he fixes the tire, checks all the bearings, repacks and replaces what's needed, patches the holes on the wall, puts a new jack stand on the tongue, tongue jack there, because it may or may not have got bent in the loading process. And they sit there and they then send 2 lads from PEI to drive down in a car. They rent a car, they drive down here, they rent a U-Haul. They take said U-Haul, put as much as they can in it, go to Owen Sound, come back, and then hook it up and pull it away with still probably still 10,000 pounds worth in it now of the waterlogged, ruined. Like this thing, the content should have been going to a dump and that thing should have rolled empty to get an inspection. But I mean, the customer is always right. I haven't heard back from them since they left. I'm willing to bet it did not make it there without issue. I
Yeah.
cannot see it. And then from there, they are going to unload it, reload it for party C, who is driving the truck. How he gets compensated in this whole thing is he gets to use the trailer to move his parents from the Owen Sound area back to PEI, where the trailer has to go back to. The bill was
Wow.
paid. The bill was paid, and the trailer is gone. Those are the main two things that have happened that I care about in that procedure.
Okay, so all you need to know, listener, especially if you're driving and you're trying to keep up with this story that PlainGuy just gave us.
I
Trailer
tried to,
caught fire because trailer was overloaded and tire blew. Trailer, the bill got paid for trailer. The owners did redneck back to PEI shit, you know. Another big load of potatoes, coming out
yeah,
of PEI. And they're just overloaded going down the highway and they're just all tickety boo.
yeah.
Okay.
And somebody else is going to have a story just as good as mine at one point in this voyage.
Yeah.
So that was my
And they're
second
still
fire.
using the trailer after it caught fire with a
Yeah,
bearing
yeah. No, I mean,
explosion. Yeah.
there's some smoke damage and fire damage, but nothing. Like the bearings were all rechecked and everything. We couldn't tell if the axle was bent though.
Hmm.
We believe the axle is bent, but you can't tell when it's loaded.
No, you can't.
Not when it's loaded that heavy. So that's why we wanted it offloaded so they could make an edge or let us float it loaded.
Yeah.
Right? That way you're not putting any extra strain on it.
Hmm.
So no.
Hmm.
So that was my second fire. And then my third fire was a tractor, the entire interior of a tractor. Everything else was still intact. I mean, I felt like I was destined to fires. That's all I was good for.
Hmm.
And if you've ever you've done light duties working fire jobs,
Yeah.
you're just Eureka barbecue for weeks. You can wash your clothes all you want. Everything's covered in soot. Yeah, it's just miserable.
Try parking one in an indoor shop.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
none of those I ever see indoor at my location. That's for sure. They stay out in the back.
So let's get off of that.
Okay,
One of these little idiosyncrasies, I think, is the correct word.
idiosyncrasies. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
that's a
that big
word.
fancy word.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you know what it means, but it's a word.
So
I don't know. I know
I'm
what it means.
I'm a little weird. I watch weird shit on YouTube, like just weird educational stuff and like deep dives into weird things. Anywho, while you're going down the road, have you ever wanted to sync up your turn signal with the car in front of you? So like you're stopped at a red light and it's going blink, blink, and then you look at your dash and it's blinking and it's almost bang on, but it's not quite. So then you turn yours off to try to match it up. And then when it does, you get that shot of endorphins and you're like, yeah, I did something. Have you ever done that?
No,
No?
no, I
You've
have not.
never done that.
This thought has never crossed my mind.
No?
No,
Okay. Well, this
I
is
think
my
that's a bit of idio something mixed with some OCD, maybe.
so most car manufacturers have a set blinks per minute that they have. So like
I imagine
all
this is regulated.
no, they have to
No,
be to a certain extent. So you have to have X amount of blinks per minute and less than X amount of blinks per minute.
okay, that's what I
Anywhere
meant.
in between that is fair game.
How big is this range?
I don't know.
I need to know more.
I don't know.
Okay,
Um,
I'll look it up while you tell your story.
okay. So I always I thought about this and I know all Chrysler vehicles have the same blinks per minute. So if I'm behind a Jeep and my Ram pickup, I can sync up our turn signals. And I've actually seen a couple of people behind me and in front of me sync theirs to mine. And it makes me happy because I didn't even think about it at that time. But this
Yeah,
is my thing. Can car manufacturers just select, I want X amount of blinks per minute, and that's just it across the board? Because you have no idea how good it would look if you're sitting at a red light waiting to go straight and all six of the cars on the opposite side of the intersection waiting to turn left are just all flashing in sync. Wouldn't that be just, oh, it would just make my
but
brain
no,
so
because
smooth.
okay, my brain's so smooth. So, according to I don't know where, somewhere on the interwebs,
Okay.
a
So it
properly
must be true.
functioning turn signal will blink at around 60 to 120 blinks per minute.
Mm-hmm.
So that is every second to every half second, right?
Yeah.
Minimum 1 blink every second. Maximum 2 blinks every second.
Yeah.
So even if you set all this, if we set an industry standard
Mm-hmm.
that turn signals had to blink at 60
90.
blinks.
You had to have 90 blinks per minute.
Okay, fine, 90.
Yeah.
You still, no, even 60. Okay, 60 would be 1 a second.
Yeah.
You still have to line up that all of those vehicles turn on their signal at the exact same interval.
Yeah. But it would be so much easier to sync them up if you have that thought. Now,
Now,
listening to me talk about this, you're going to notice it on the road.
I hope not. I have much better things to worry about on the road than people's turn signals not matching.
Okay.
No, but I have actually seen technology out, and it is more for scene management.
Yes, the
With cop
synchronizing
cars,
flashers. Yeah.
where all the flashers get in sync,
Mhm.
which looks really trippy to the eye when you
Yeah.
see it.
It does.
So I mean, maybe it needs that kind of technology.
Mhm.
Maybe with the cars of the future, maybe Mr. Elon Musk with his Teslas and his all this technology he's adding in, that Tesla will now run instead on a world clock.
Mm.
That it will not depend on when you turn your blinker on,
Yeah.
but in which point in the time cycle your
Mm.
signal will flash. Meaning you'll turn it on, it might wait half a second before it does. So all Teslas blink in the same.
That would be
Is
cool.
that what you want?
Yeah,
That's
that'd be a cool party trick. Yeah.
we have a war in Israel between we've got forest fires that burned all of
The
Canada.
war in Ukraine too. Don't forget that war.
The war in Ukraine, a mass shooting down in Maine, and
Yeah.
all TowManG wants is the goddamn blinkers to line
I'm
up.
a simple boy, okay?
Can
I just
somebody,
want my wrinkly brain to feel smooth while driving.
can somebody please figure out a way to solve this man's solution? We can't solve all these other problems in the world. We've given up.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on our 17th subvariant of COVID, but
That's still a thing.
I believe so.
It's not a
Somebody
thing at
told me
my
they had COVID
convent.
the other day. I was like, oh wow,
It's not a thing at my convent.
it's not at your compound. It's
Yeah.
not a thing. But no, so I don't know. Two different sources state the same thing.
Mhm.
Of course, a lot of it is. Oh, actually, I found it from the National Highway Traffic Safety NHTSA
Yeah.
that I believe says what hertz they have to too, because brightness is an issue.
Yeah.
You know what bugs me is those Dodges that their headlight goes out.
I like it.
Yeah, it's supposed to emphasize it more. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of it. I have LED headlights in my pickup truck.
Mm.
I got to repoint them.
Mm.
I've noticed a lot of people flashing me,
Yeah,
especially when I pass them
you're
on the highway.
illuminating. You're trying to look for turkeys in the tree line while you're driving down the road.
I think I'm looking through their retinas to the back of their skull is what's happening. Because I'm getting flashed a lot. So I know there's laws on that too, right? On how bright your lights
A
can be.
lot of new vehicles have turning headlights that will turn when you turn the wheel.
Yeah, I don't like the Dodge one that
The
it's
fog
not the
light comes
headlight,
on.
but it's like the fog light lights up
Yeah.
whenever you're turning.
Yeah, my mom's truck does that.
Not a huge fan of that technology. Not a huge
Yeah.
fan of that technology. But no, I mean, I can't believe that was. I know I seen you put it in the note.
Hmm.
I had no idea that it was to talk about all the turn signals in
But
the world.
when you spend enough time on the road, you pick up on little things.
No,
So, like,
well, how much downtime do you have on the road? I mean, we're different.
we are different. But I mean, like, the amount of road information that's out there that most people don't pay attention to. So, like, how many people nowadays look at street signs to figure out where the hell they're going? If it's not on their phone, they don't give a shit. And to
Okay.
a certain extent, okay, cool. I was driving with someone. It was probably towing their ship box. I can't remember, but I know this situation. And they're like, "How do you know what lane to be in to get on the exit?" I was like, "Well, you see those big signs up above with the arrows and the lines? Yeah. 9 times out of 10, the turning lane arrows are lined up over top of the lane that you need to be in. Oh, I didn't know that. It's like also when the lines on the road get closer together and fatter, that means the lane is ending. Oh, I didn't know that either. And I was like, okay, so what do you do on the highway? Well, I just stay in the right hand lane. Well, that's stupid because I bet you make a lot of lane changes. And they're like, yeah, I'm not very confident driving on the highway, so I don't do that too often. It's like, well, you're doing it wrong.
My
So,
wife does that. That's how my wife drives.
so for anyone out there, I don't think any of our listeners need this tidbit of information because
Oh,
hopefully
there's
you're
one.
all
I
full truck
guarantee there's
drivers.
at least one.
So
There's always at least one.
how to count lanes on the highway. You start from the furthest most left lane. That's lane 1. Then you go lane 2, which is normally the center lane. Lane 3 is normally the slow lane on the right-hand side. Most highways, at least around here, are 3 or 2-lane highways. So if you get onto a highway and you can count 1, 2, 3, okay, if I get into lane 2, which is the middle lane, I will have the most amount of room to move in case of someone crashing in front of me, or I won't have to hit every single stupid off ramp. I won't have to deal with as much merging traffic if it's a 3-lane highway at least, because the center lane is the travel lane. It's the
No.
travel lane for a
Right
reason.
lane. No, the left lanes are passing lanes. I
That's what
hate
I'm saying.
people
The
just
center
parking.
lane.
No. If you're if
Lane
you're not
2.
passing someone, get back on the right lane.
Lane 2 out of 3.
No. If we're talking a 3-lane road,
Yes.
okay, and you are not passing anybody, get in lane 3.
Screw you.
No. That way, the faster car is going to pass you in lane 2, and the car faster than him is going to pass in lane 3.
So then what's the point of having 4-lane highways then?
Same principle applies.
But okay,
I mean, when
I
it comes
get
to
that.
stop and
Slower
go, it doesn't
traffic's
matter.
always supposed to be to the right.
Yes.
I understand that. But if
If you're
you're
getting
traveling,
passed on the right-hand side, you're in the wrong lane.
yes, I
So
will
which would
agree
be
with
the
that.
middle lane, and you're getting passed on the right-hand side in lane 3.
Normally, if you're in the middle lane, you're doing like 110 to 115. You're obviously keeping up with the flow of traffic. If you're not doing that, then you're in the wrong lane.
You're not passing, get in the right lane.
If you're doing 110, you'll be passing all the
I don't give a
rigs to
shit if
your
you're doing
left.
140. If you're not passing somebody, get in the right lane.
But that's what the center lane's there for. It's the fucking travel lane.
Nah, it's the get the fuck out of the way lane because every goddamn tractor trailer parks himself in it.
Yeah, so you're just bent out of shape because every rig up there is trying to pass the rig next to it doing a kilometer faster.
No, because they're not allowed in the left lane when you got 3 lanes.
No.
But no, it's just stay in the right lane. When you go to pass, move over to the left. And then if you go to pass and there's another slower guy in front, you can pass him again. You got 2 lanes to pick from. And this guy probably wasn't doing 115 because he said he wasn't confident on the highway. So he's probably the Nancy Nelly doing 95 down the highway.
Yeah.
Sitting there wondering why people are honking him and cutting him off because he's an
Well,
asshole.
the way I look at it is I'm pretty sure driving instructors, I'm pretty sure my driving instructor told me this. If the more lane changes you make, the higher your risk goes up to come into an accident, right? Because you're moving your car into other lanes, right? So if you can pick a lane, stay in that fucking lane.
So that's like that argument could lead to somebody just saying, I'm going to pick the left lane.
Well, the left lane's the passing lane. That
No,
is
but you
why
just said pick
the
a lane. The least lane
2
changes, the
right
better. I'm
lanes,
going a
the
long
lane 2
distance.
and lane 3 are your travel lanes. Lane 3, which is the furthest most to the right, is the slow lane. Then you got your
Exactly.
travel lane, which is lane 2, the middle one, and then you got your passing lane, which is lane 1 on the left. Anyone who wants to go fast like race car, take the left lane, and then when they're done passing, get back into the travel lane.
Kind of like everybody in the middle lane after they're done passing can get into lane 3 on the right. Just move to the right unless you're passing. And the more you change lanes, like that feels like some bullshit that we don't want people changing lanes because your chances go up. If you fucking look around and use your mirrors and get off your phone and have a little bit of spatial awareness, There's no reason that you can't change lanes safely. That's all I'm saying.
I know we can change lanes safely, but there's other people out there that don't change lanes safely.
And take their licenses away. Don't coddle them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Take their
All right,
licenses
we
away.
agree.
Yeah.
We agree on lane changes.
Stop giving licenses out of the back of a cereal box. Save that for Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the early 2000s.
You give driver's licenses and okay.
Well, I'm saying because it's easy to obtain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It's a saying
well,
around here, at least, okay?
well,
It's
well
like they're
played.
giving them out of the box of a cereal box.
Well played, sir. Well played. Okay, so you'd seen a note that I'd put up earlier. Now that we've solved lane changes in today's society. I mean, imagine if everyone changed lanes and their signals matched up. We'd be gold.
Yeah.
Okay, I told you about this repo-like story that I got.
Repo type story.
Repo, whatever.
Repo-ish. Repo Light. It's the newest type of repo on the shelf.
Well, it's not really a repo. So I get a customer that comes in the other day. He's friends with somebody in the company. And he asked for him
That's how it
personally.
always starts. I know so-and-so. Good buddy. I went to high school with him.
Yeah. So he brings me ownership of a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Bill of sale on a truck. Like, I mean, not just like a written bill of sale, but like the finance from the dealership bill of sale.
Mm-hmm.
And his ID. And he says, my son has my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like you to go pick it up. He goes, I brought all the proof that I am the owner.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So I double check everything. And he sends me a picture of where it's parked. Which is about a block away from me.
Oh.
And like from where I am, my home, not from our office. And he wants the vehicle brought to a friend of his shop. Not his residence, but a friend of his shop. At a third-party address, whatever.
No.
I said, okay. Why can't you go get the truck? Because he also has the key. He has the second key for it. And I go, okay, why can't you go to the truck? Well, I haven't talked to my son in 4 months. And I don't want a confrontation with my son. But okay. So why don't you call the local police and ask for a keep the peace? Yeah. Which is where they will attend with you. The truck is, and I've tried, they won't help me.
What do you mean?
No, that's what I said.
Kind of their job. Sounds like he just said that and he didn't actually try.
So I said, okay, well then why don't you just show up at 2:00 in the morning and take the truck? Yeah. You have the key. It isn't parked on private property. It's parked on the road. Yeah. Well, I don't want the hassle. Will you go get it for me?
$1,000, buddy. I'll do whatever the hell you want.
Even that, I don't want a confrontation. If you're worried about a confrontation with your son, I'm going to first assume that your son is somewhat aggressive. Yeah. If you're right and you said the police won't attend, well, they're not going to attend for me. I know they will. Yeah. And okay, so if I want to take the third option I gave you, which is I'm just going to show up in the middle of the night and take it because I have your written consent. I really want to risk bogus charges doing it's not a repo. It's not like I financed it to my son, right? There's nothing that I have on any sort of that paperwork. And if I did, he wouldn't be providing it. The son would probably have it. Yep. Like, what do you do in that scenario? Part of me wants to, I walk my dog by this thing every day. I'm not overly worried about the guy knowing that I'm up the road. I don't really care. Yeah. I'm far enough up the road that he's not going to be a problem. Yeah. But I almost feel like telling the kid, your dad's trying to get your truck back. Like, am I cool to just take it? Yeah. He's like, tell him it's being repoed for all I care. I'm like, I'm not telling him anything.
No, I'm not lying to him.
No, I'm not lying to him. Like, go. So anyways, it's a weird scenario. Yeah. Part of me wants to do some fun excitement. Like, part of me wants to roll up in a personal at 2 a.m. and just hop in this thing and take off with it. Right?
Get that adrenaline rush, feel like
you stole a truck. The other part of me doesn't want to have bullshit charges because
Bonnie and Clyde moment type thing,
Yeah. That turns out that no, the truck has been transferred or something, or there's a written agreement somewhere, or you know what I mean? There's something that There's something that he's not telling us.
It's either the son's truck and the dad has the ownership because whatever reason.
Maybe insurance
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah.
But I mean, technically, he is still the owner then.
Yeah.
And like, I did even check. He sent me a picture of the truck, and I checked it when I took a walk the other day. Where are the plates? That's what I checked first, because if the son had transferred it, he'd probably get new plates.
Yeah.
So I have every reason to believe it's still in the original name.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, it's a weird little scenario that I kind of want to mess with, and I kind of want just like, I want him like to catch him while I'm walking my dog and just, you know, be like, hey, this is what's going on. This
Yeah.
is, you know, who someone reached out to me. They want me to come get this truck. I'm not trying. Part of me doesn't want to tip him off too that he goes and hides his truck or something. Because I mean, I haven't even taken the job. I told him, you keep your keys, you keep your paperwork. I took a photo of it.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you next week. Well,
Yeah.
you just hold on the key, hold on to the key. That way, if you're going to do it, I don't have to come back here. I'm like, whatever. I'll hold on to the key. That doesn't mean I'm doing it. What would you
You're
do
going to
then?
get a phone call from me in a week saying, "Hey, I'm not going to do it. Come pick up your key." You're going to have to come back.
No,
anyways.
part of me wants to do that, and part of me just wants to be like, I'm just going to leave it here and see how long it takes him to come pick up his key. But I mean, customer service side, I want to let him know that.
Yeah.
But you know, I even talked to one of my police buddies. I said, "This is the deal. This is what the guy's trying to get me to do."
Mhm.
And he's like, "Man, there's more to that story." I'm like, "I know. There's
Yeah.
got to be more to this story."
Mhm.
He's like, "I wouldn't touch it." I'm like, that's kind of the, you know, because I reached out to a buddy. I texted him. I said, "Hey, I got a question for you, off the book kind of thing."
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, I'm working tonight. I'll call you back. I'll call you later tonight." Okay, no problem. Well, that was the night my wife is currently enduring kidney stones.
Mm.
And I was at the hospital. And as I'm going to leave the hospital, who do I run into but the cop who brought up Perpin? And they had to watch him. I was like, "Hey,
Fancy
never
meeting you
mind
here.
calling
Is
me.
that
You got
camera
a minute?"
thingy on?
Yeah, yeah. We don't have body cameras yet. Only some of them have body cameras. We're not that big of a city.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's a weird little repo story that I just don't know what to do with it. So I think I'm just gonna tell him to kick rocks, go get his own truck, or $2,000 for the and you cover my legal fees.
Yeah, because like, okay, to what extent do you end up assuming liability for this? Because you're getting paid for a job, and that's another gray area for the towing industry.
Yep.
This is a true story that happened with our company. A guy called us, said, "Hey, I lost my keys in the lake," which happens a lot.
Yeah, I've
Lost my keys in
done
the
a lot of
lake.
those
I
calls.
need my
Yeah.
truck towed. I want it towed back to my house. Okay, sounds good. You show up, you load up the truck. He's standing there. He gets a ride with you. He doesn't have another vehicle. He's got fishing gear. He throws it in the back of the truck, right? You think everything's all hunky dory. As you're going down the road, you drop the truck off. The driver left, and then got a call from our dispatch saying, "Hey, where'd you drop that truck off? I've got the police on the other line. It's stolen."
Nice.
You just stole that truck, but you did it legally because there was money being transacted. And our driver was like, we were scot free because we didn't know.
Mm.
We had zero clue that guy just played us like a fucking fiddle and got a free truck out of it. Well, he didn't. He got caught, obviously.
Yeah,
But
you obviously are. No,
it
I read
definitely
it.
isn't a smart move. But I respect the effort.
No, it was a decent hustle. I'll give them
Yeah.
that. Like, I've had one where it was they bought, like, we get a call, "Can you tow this brand new Ford truck
Mm.
to like a residence in Montreal?"
Mm.
And it's got engine issues, whatever. That's weird. Why wouldn't you bring it back to the dealer? No. It turns out it was going to a shipping yard. It
Mm.
was bought with fraudulent
Funds.
like information.
Mm.
And so, like, identity theft. And another towing company actually was going to tow it to us, and we were going to take it to Montreal. And I'm like, nah, it seems weird.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, the police called us a couple weeks later. "Did you tow this vehicle?" We're like, "Actually, no." We were inquired to. We were
Yeah.
asked about it, but I can tell you who did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, it's.
But
Like
in
I
a
said,
situation like yours, you got information.
mhm.
Granted, you don't have all the information. You've been only dealing with one party. I wonder what the legal
That's what.
repercussions would be.
That's why I want to. Well, that's why I want to run into the sun.
Yeah.
and just be like, I don't have any loyalty to this guy. I don't know who this guy is from dirt.
Now,
But
if you were to show up and just drive the truck away, I don't know. But if you showed up with a tow truck and you towed it, I think it would be a lot easier. But the son's not the legal owner then, potentially. So he has no legal grounds.
mhm,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
That's a good one. That's a good
Speaking of
one.
legal grounds, what kind of legal grounds do we have here? Yeah, trash can under the car.
Mm.
Pretty sure it was the drive shaft that just rolled away. So this is a perfect example, and I'm going to shut off this lady's really annoying voice
Hmm. Hmm.
of that guy that'll do it for $20.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, I'm stuck up on a curb or something. Can you come pull me out? I don't want to pay for a tow truck.
So what this video is, it's a Ford F-350 dually backed up to a red Jeep Grand Cherokee that's stuck up on a curb, and he has a chain, or maybe it's a strap, probably a chain wrapped around the passenger rear tire of the Jeep, and he's trying to pull it off. He got the chain tight, and he gave it some fuel, and he spun his rear tires. So he's like, I'll just back up and give this thing a little bump, and we'll get that thing going. He gave it a little bump, and he got part of it going. Part of being the tire and rim and suspension components came with the truck.
Like
Not,
I said, you actually see the drive shaft roll away.
yeah,
Like, wait for it. Wait for it. Okay. And kabang. And that's the
yep.
drive shaft
Hmm, hmm,
rolling towards the camera person.
hmm, hmm.
And rolling. Oh, it might be a spring, actually. Might be a
Yeah,
strut with a spring. It looked like a
yeah.
drive shaft originally, but it'd be
So I
weird angle.
titled I titled this video "Shock Load Bad" because I would, if I was a bet man, if I was there with a wrecker and I strapped that rear tire with a low pull off my wrecker, it would have came without the tire ripping off.
I don't even think
I
you need
honestly
the low
think it
pull.
was the shock load that ripped that thing out.
Yeah, 100%. You didn't need a low pull. Didn't really matter if it was low, high, or
Well,
somewhere
the
in between.
bumper, keep it away from the
Oh, but
bumper.
if you're strapped on the rim,
Yeah, it's gonna center itself anyways.
depending on the angle, like I'm thinking, well, if you're pulling straight back, you mean, okay,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I'm pulling at this angle from the camera.
Mm.
But yeah, no, shock loading, suspension components, and everything with a chain. Yeah, the weakest point is going to give, and in that case, the weakest point was the strut,
Yeah.
the hub, and
This
everything.
isn't a sponsored read or anything, but if that guy in the truck had like a Yankum kinetic rope,
Oh, I thought you were going to say a goddamn bulldog.
no, no. That would be a good segue back to the beginning to wrap up the episode, but I'm not that clever. No, a kinetic energy rope. If you've never seen them, Google it. They're amazing. They expand like 30 to 50% of their actual length, and with that kinetic energy, it acts like a rubber band, and it makes it so the ride is a lot smoother in the towed vehicle, and it also diminishes the shock load because the rope takes most of it.
Absorbs
Yeah,
absorbs the energy. That makes sense.
yeah.
All right, one more funny video before we go and wrap up this week's episode of the Tow and Life podcast. I have been in a very similar situation to this, except I was towing a vehicle out of a driveway backwards.
Yeah, you've told that
Um,
story.
yeah,
Is
and
that
I told the story on the show before. So
yeah.
it is very important that even when you're moving a vehicle,
Mhm.
sometimes it's always safe to just strap the tires.
Yeah.
Be on the safe side and strap the tires on your wrecker, on your dollies, and this is why. This guy has got his autoloader, and he's pulling out this Mercedes out of an underground parking, and he's adjusting it rightfully for the height.
Mm.
Please, if you're not watching over on the YouTube side, you really should be for these videos. I love how calm everyone is. So this looks like it's in Europe. Oh, it is in Europe. Look at that plate.
Yeah.
So as he's pulling it out, he's lowering his height to make sure, he's going up a ramp. And I'm going to guess that the dollies aren't tight enough because that was the only thing that would stop that thing from rolling. Like why it would want to roll off like that, I guess, is
Well, it's
tilt.
probably rear-wheel drive.
It is
And with the
100%
lowering of the stinger gave enough suspension compression to have it come up on that bounce from the suspension to make the tires roll
There
off the
shouldn't have been
back.
enough resistance to pull it backwards. I'm gonna watch it one more time. There shouldn't have been enough resistance. Right? We'll do it without the audio. The audio is great.
Watch it. Watch the bump. When car comes back up. See?
No, there's a split second between it. There's no reason. But that something on the back rubbed.
No,
Something on the back created that resistance for that to roll off.
I don't think so.
And when it did, that's a great still shot.
Hmm.
The car falls off the wheel lift, which is still pretty high.
Yeah.
Takes the front bumper, and now because the back tires are on dollies and he is on a slope, there is
Yeah.
nothing stopping this thing from rolling all the way down the parking garage and slamming into that door.
You know, screwing up the car that you're supposed to tow is horrible, and I don't recommend it to anyone watching or listening to this. But when you fuck up so bad, and it's at the end of the episode, so I don't care about my swearing, it's not getting beeped. When you fuck up so bad, you damage the car that you're towing, but you also damage other property. The amount of money you're going to have to pay, because now that building's probably going to have to be inspected, make sure there's no structural damage, even though we know there probably isn't, but it has to be inspected. That bill just went from an $8,000 front clip and a safety inspection on the car, let's say, because of the accident, now to thousands of dollars more because it ran into a building. You could
Like, I
say
think
it's not on my truck anymore. It's not my responsibility.
it's still on his dollies.
Fair.
And that's what's crazy, right? We talk about some of these little things. Like,
Mhm.
how many times have we talked about, the securing the vehicle when you winch it onto the bed, not driving off of a, vehicle?
Mhm.
That is a minute of a job you would have had to do anyways. Eventually, you would have to strap those wheels down.
Yeah.
Right? That just cost you
No,
all of
I
that.
understand. You're blocking the only entrance to the underground parking. You want to get in and get out quick because you're right in the middle. You're a big truck.
Safety chains.
Yeah.
Safety chains would have stopped it. You would have probably did the damage to the vehicle.
Yeah.
But it would have stopped it. So
One safety chain, just one.
yep, would have stopped at least the damage to the back of the car and to the building. So, as much as we, sound like we're preaching assholes,
Yeah.
the proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Mhm.
That is the proof right there, how 2 minutes can save you a lot of money and 15% on your car insurance for calling Geico. So that being said, on behalf of myself and the wonderful man who sits to my right every week, Mr. TowManG, thank you very much for coming out to another episode of the Tow and Life podcast, and we cannot wait to see you again next week. Take care.
Toodles.